In the village of Makumba, where the red earth meets the sky and the baobab trees stand like ancient guardians, there lived a girl named Lusayo. She was 19 years old, and her beauty was spoken of in every corner of the land. Her skin was smooth like river clay after the rains. Her eyes shone bright like the morning stars. When she walked to the well, young men would stop their work just to watch her pass by. But beauty, my children, is like a sharp knife. In good hands, it cuts food for the family. In bad hands, it cuts the one who holds it. Lusayo's heart grew cold with pride. She looked at other girls and laughed at them. She saw her mother's tired hands and turned away. She became a thorn in the side of Makumba. It was market day, and the sun hung high like a golden coin in the sky. Women spread their mats on the ground, selling dried fish, red tomatoes, and fresh cassava. The air was thick with voices and laughter. Lusayo wore her finest cloth, wrapped tight around her waist. She painted her lips with red clay and oiled her skin until it glowed. She walked through the market with her chin high, her eyes cold. "Look at me," her walk seemed to say. "Look at me and know that you can never be this beautiful." The other girls whispered as she passed. The old women shook their heads. Even the children knew that pride was growing in Lusayo like a bad weed. As the sun began to fall toward the western hills, an old woman came to the market. Her name was Nyandori, though no one in Makumba knew her. She was covered in dust from the long road. Her wrapper was torn and faded. Her feet were bare and cracked like dry earth. She moved slowly, leaning on a walking stick made from a twisted branch. Nyandori stopped at the water pot near the center of the market. Her voice was soft but clear. "Please, may I have some water? The road has been long, and my throat is like sand." The women looked at each other. Some moved to help, but then Lusayo stepped forward. Lusayo looked at the old woman with disgust. She wrinkled her nose as if she smelled something bad. "You want water?" Lusayo said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Go wash your face before you speak to me. You look like you rolled in the pig pen. How can you stand in this market looking like that?" The market became quiet. Even the children stopped playing. The old woman stood very still. Nyandori's eyes, which had seemed tired and dull, began to glow with a strange light. She looked at Lusayo with a gaze that seemed to see into the girl's very soul. "The mirror of beauty breaks in unkind hands," the old woman whispered. Her voice was like wind through dry leaves. Then she turned and walked away, her shadow long on the red earth. That night, Lusayo lay on her sleeping mat, thinking of her beauty. She smiled in the darkness, remembering how everyone had looked at her in the market. She did not think of the old woman's words. She did not think of the hurt in Nyandori's eyes. She thought only of herself, as she always did. Sleep came to her like a soft blanket. And in her sleep, she dreamed. She dreamed of standing before a great mirror made of still water. In the mirror, she saw her face, perfect and beautiful. She smiled at her reflection, and her reflection smiled back. But as she watched, cracks began to appear in the mirror. Slowly, slowly, the cracks spread across the surface like spider webs. When the rooster crowed and the sun painted the sky red and gold, Lusayo woke up. She stretched and smiled, ready to begin another day of being the most beautiful girl in Makumba. She reached for her small mirror, a gift from a trader who had loved her beauty. She held it up to see her face. Then she screamed. Her mother came running. Her sisters rushed in. But when they saw Lusayo's face, they gasped and stepped back. Lusayo's smooth skin was covered in dark spots. Her bright eyes were dull and red. Her shining hair was tangled like old rope. The glow that had made her famous was gone. "What has happened to me?" Lusayo cried. "What has happened to my face?" Word spread through Makumba like fire through dry grass. By noon, everyone knew. The beautiful Lusayo had lost her beauty. The young men who had stopped their work to watch her now looked away when she passed. The girls she had mocked whispered behind their hands. The children ran from her, afraid. Only her mother still looked at her with love. But even her mother's love could not heal the pain in Lusayo's heart. For 3 days, Lusayo stayed in her hut. She would not eat. She would not speak. She looked at her reflection in the water pot and wept. On the 4th day, she made a choice. She would find the old woman. She would beg for her beauty back. At dawn, while the village still slept, Lusayo wrapped herself in an old cloth and left Makumba. She walked toward the forest where the old paths led into darkness. The forest was thick with vines and tall trees that blocked the sun. Birds called from high branches. The air was cool and damp. Lusayo had never walked so far alone. Her feet hurt. Her stomach was empty. But she kept walking, driven by shame and hope. As she walked, she remembered the old woman's eyes. She remembered her own cruel words. For the first time, she felt something new in her heart. It was small and painful, like a thorn. It was the beginning of shame. On the 2nd day in the forest, Lusayo met a woman gathering honey from a wild hive. The woman was old, with a kind face and strong hands. "You look lost, child," the woman said. "And hungry. Come, sit with me." Lusayo was too tired to be proud. She sat down and the woman gave her honey on a piece of bark and water from a gourd. "Why are you in the forest alone?" the woman asked. Lusayo told her story. She spoke of her beauty and her pride. She spoke of the old woman and the curse. She spoke of her shame. The honey gatherer listened. Then she said, "Beauty is like honey, child. It is sweet, but it does not last. What lasts is what you do with your hands and your heart." On the 3rd day, Lusayo came to a small clearing where a young mother sat crying. In her arms was a child, burning with fever. "Please," the mother begged. "Do you know medicine? My child is dying." The old Lusayo would have walked past. But something had changed in her heart during the long walk. She sat down beside the mother. "I know a little," Lusayo said. She remembered what her grandmother had taught her, lessons she had ignored because she was too busy thinking of her beauty. She gathered leaves from the forest. She made a paste and put it on the child's forehead. She sang the old healing songs. She stayed through the night, changing the cool clothes on the child's skin. By morning, the fever broke. The child opened her eyes and smiled. The mother wept with joy. "How can I thank you?" she asked. "I have nothing to give." Lusayo felt something warm spread through her chest. It was a feeling she had never known before. It was the joy of helping another person. "You have given me something already," Lusayo said. "You have shown me that I have worth beyond my face." The mother smiled. "The old woman you seek, Nyandori, passed away 2 days ago. She went toward the rocks where the river bends." Lusayo thanked the mother and walked on. But she walked differently now. Her steps were lighter. Her heart was less heavy. Near the river, Lusayo found a small village of people who had been cast out from other places. Some were sick. Some were old. Some were born with bodies that were different. They looked at Lusayo with fear, expecting her to run away. But Lusayo sat down among them. "May I stay with you for a while?" she asked. "I am learning to see with new eyes." They welcomed her. For 5 days, Lusayo lived among them. She carried water for the old ones. She ground corn for the sick. She played with the children who had been called ugly by the world. And slowly, like the sun rising, she began to understand. True beauty was not in the mirror. It was in the act of love. On the 6th day, Lusayo found Nyandori sitting by the river, washing clothes on the smooth rocks. The old woman looked up and smiled, as if she had been waiting. Lusayo fell to her knees. Tears ran down her spotted face. "Please," she said. "Forgive me. I was cruel. I was blind. I see now what I could not see before." Nyandori put down her washing and took Lusayo's hands. "Tell me, child, what do you see now?" "I see that I was empty," Lusayo said. "I had a beautiful shell, but inside I was hollow. I hurt others to make myself feel big. I see now that true beauty comes from a kind heart, not a pretty face." Nyandori nodded. "You have walked a hard road, Lusayo. But it was the road you needed to walk. Will you give me back my beauty?" Lusayo asked. The old woman smiled. "I did not take your beauty, child. You threw it away yourself when you threw away your humanity. Beauty without kindness is like a flower without roots. It dies quickly. Then I will never be beautiful again?" Lusayo asked. "You are more beautiful now than you ever were," Nyandori said. "Look into the river." Lusayo looked into the water. Her face was still spotted. Her hair was still tangled. But something in her eyes had changed. There was a light there that had not been there before. It was the light of a humble heart. Lusayo returned to Makumba, but she was not the same girl who had left. She did not hide her face. She did not weep for her lost beauty. Instead, she went to the market and helped her mother sell vegetables. She carried water for the old women. She played with the children she had once ignored. The people of Makumba watched in wonder. Some still turned away from her spotted face. But others began to see the change in her. Her mother wept with joy. "My daughter has come back to me," she said. Not the proud girl who left, but a woman with a heart of gold. And Lusayo smiled. It was a real smile, one that came from deep inside. It was the smile of someone who had learned what truly matters. Months passed like water flowing in the river. Lusayo worked hard and loved it very much. She cared for the sick and helped the poor. She spoke kind words and did kind deeds. And slowly, people began to say that Lusayo was beautiful again. Not because her spots had faded or her hair had grown smooth. But because when you looked at her, you saw something that made you feel warm inside. One day, an old woman came to the market asking for water. Lusayo ran to serve her, bringing the freshest water and a kind word. The woman smiled and walked away. As she left, Lusayo thought she saw a strange glow in the woman's eyes. But she did not ask. She had learned that some magic is best left unspoken. And so, remember this, the one who values beauty over kindness will lose both. But the one who carries love in her heart will shine forever. Do not be like the old Lusayo, proud and cold. Be like the new Lusayo, humble and warm. For in the end, when our beauty fades and our youth is gone, only our deeds will remain. The mirror will crack. The skin will wrinkle. But a kind heart grows more beautiful with each passing day. This is the story of Lusayo. Let it live in your heart. And share this story with every woman who needs to hear it, and don't forget to subscribe, like and comment.